Yes, welcome back, Geography Grade Cove students. Thank you for connecting and tuning on to Metric Hub. It has been a while without having time to engage in geography. We are back today. We just want to quickly prepare for preparatory exams as well as end of year. Um, Today, we want to talk about types of industries making up the secondary and tertiary sectors. Types of sectors. I'm sure we defined and explained what are sectors. We explained these types of sectors, the primary, secondary, uh, tertiary sectors and quaternary sectors that we defined in the previous presentations. So let me just begin by giving a very quick definition. Types of industries. I want us to understand that it's industries. We are looking at a group of businesses, industries. We are saying it is a group of businesses. It's a group of businesses. We can say organizations. Industry can be a group of businesses. We can say organizations that are involved in similar economic activities, that are involved in similar economic activities. We are saying that is an industry, group of businesses or organizations that are involved in similar economic activities. That's how we can define an industry. I mean, like these are typically producing the same type of goods or services. So, in other ways, industries, we are saying also producing uh, same type, same type of goods or services. We say that is an industry. Businesses, organizations involved in similar economic activities producing same type of goods or services. So in other words, what we need to understand is that industries can be classified in that respect or in that regard. So it can represent specific segments of the economy. It represents specific segments of the economy which we can actually define in various categories and specific classes. So now, what we need to understand is that each of these have got their own characteristics. Each of these have got their own characteristics. So let's quickly just go and we want to look at what is it? The types of industries. We can just begin by having the primary and secondary. The broad classification that we have is the heavy industries and light industries. So heavy industries, it is the best industry uh, as it starts the productive process and is encompassed with the primary sector. It is actually the base industry which is starting the productive process and then focusing mainly also on the primary sector of the country's economy. So it is concerned with the exploitation. It is concerned with the exploitation. It is concerned with the extraction of raw materials in their manufacture or transformation into semi-finished products that are later used as capital assets for light industries. So, in other words, what we need to understand is that the heavy industries does depend heavily on extraction and exploitation of raw materials in order to manufacture or transform them into semi-finished products that can later be used as capital assets in light industries. So some capital assets might include examples such as we can talk about artificial fiber, we can talk about fertilizers, we can talk about chemicals, petroleum gases, steel beams, and cement as various examples that we can give, in this regard. So generally, manufacture large the heavy industries, they generally manufacture large heavy articles and materials in bulk they manufacture large heavy articles and materials in bulk heavy industries. Like you give, for example, this example that we talked about, the cement, the steel, fertilizers, and so forth. So other factors that or other characteristics of heavy industries is that they are located outskirts of CBG to they are located outside the CBD, which we say the central business district. Heavy industries are not within the central business district due to pollution problems. So heavy industries are located there. So what we need to understand is that because also they require large flat lands, they also require large pieces of land. Hence, they are located outside the what? Outside the CBD. They are located outside the CBD again because of the demand for large pieces of land that is flat in order to establish the factory requirements that they need. So one other characteristic is that they need access to major roads or railways because what happens is that there is massive transportation here. There is massive transportation that is taking place with what? With the heavy industry. There is massive transportation. Hence, we are saying these goods are transported, they are bulk, as we have identified that they are they are heavyweight, or we can say they are bulky. Hence, we need railway line and large amount of water supply. Water supply, it can be for the industry for the industries in terms of the manufacturing processes and cooling systems that might also need to take place there. So uh, they require cheap land as it develops horizontally. That is why you find out that they are located outside the CBD. So therefore, there is horizontal development, which is requiring large pieces of land. So that is one other factor again that we cannot override. As they are associated with traffic congestion because of massive transportation that we talked about there. Massive transportation is also causing traffic congestion. Massive transportation causes traffic congestion. We also want to understand that they also need single-story buildings. Buildings are the single-story buildings identify the idea that there is horizontal development or there is horizontal establishment. They are not built one on top of the other. So they requires large amount of power supply. Power supply, it is for issues to do with uh, the need of electricity in various activities. We can talk about welding, we talk about cutting, we can talk about conveyor belts and so forth. All those they need power. So what we need to understand is that heavy industries are characterized by some of these factors or I mean some of these points that I've identified here now. So we have got typical examples. What are the key examples that we can give as heavy industries? We can talk about power stations, we can talk about iron and steel factory and motor vehicle factories. These are quite good examples which we can give as types of industries that are found as heavy industries or that we can name as heavy industries. So right here, I want us to give a comparative analysis of heavy and light industries. What is the differences between heavy and light industries? So uh, one heavy industries is I mean light industries is encompassed within a secondary sector of a country's economy. So we are saying are mostly found in the primary sector. If I mean in they are mostly found in the secondary sector, light industries. They are found in manufacturing and processing. Light industries are mostly found in processing or manufacturing industries. Is on manufacturing. So therefore, that is why you find that they are in the secondary sector. And then it is heavy industry as number on as another comparative analysis. Heavy industry is within the primary sector of the economy, such as we talked about the extraction of raw materials, extraction of raw materials that we gave, extraction of raw materials that we identified in the first presentation there. So it is mostly necessary and it is mostly uh, associated with what? With the primary sector of the economy, of the country's economy. Number two, uh, light industries make products from semi-processed raw materials. So in the production chain, light industries, they can make products from semi-processed raw materials. Raw materials that are found in light industries are sometimes semi-processed, meaning to say that they are semi uh semi manufactured. So light industries, they do further processing, which we say they do value addition. In this regard, light industries can also be involved in value addition. They can also be involved in value addition as one other point that we need to understand. So, heavy industries extracts and processes natural resources to be used in the other sectors of the economy. So, we are saying they are at the first stage of production. The heavy industries, they are at the first stage of production chain, or in terms of production systems. So, number three. Number three, we can also agree that light industries produce consumer goods. Goods that are produced by light industries, they are taken or they are sold to consumers. They are called consumables. They are products that are totally finished, which are going to be given to people. We can talk about examples: textile, clothing, and also newspaper printing and baking. These are examples of maybe light industries that we can give, that we can see that whatever that they produce are taken directly to consumers, and we can define them as consumables. And then in terms of heavy industries, they make products used to manufacture other goods. Products that are processed or that are made in heavy industries, they are they are not processed. They are not final products. They are going to be further processed, or they are taken into next steps of what? Of manufacturing, which we say they can still be taken as inputs or as raw materials in terms of the production chain system. They are not yet end products, as unlike in light industries. And then number four, light industries produce consumer goods of general high value per weight unit. We are saying they are high value per weight unit. If you can see, goods that are produced in light industries, they are totally finished. They are totally outputs or end products. So in that regard, what happens is that they have got a very high value. And then if we compare them to heavy industries, if industries produce semi-finished goods sold in large quantities. Their value per unit is low, but they are sold in large quantities at high value, which is a comparatively different characteristic. If we compare it to light industries, their value per weight is lower, but are sold in large quantities at high value. And then number five, light industries, the production system requires less consumption of resources such as electricity and water. In light industries, uh, requirements, electricity and water requirement is not that much. It is less in terms of the consumption of electricity and water compared to heavy industries, which we are saying that heavy industries require heavy consumption of resources. We take about, for example, electricity, that I've been saying that for in a case where we look at steel manufacturing, heavy. or electricity is heavily demanded. There is extensive demand of electricity because the cutting and also the melting of metals and all other things, they are done by electricity. And then number six, light industries, the level of waste and impact on the environment is usually low. I guess this is quite understandable because we are saying in terms of their production chain and also in terms of their location with reference to urban delimitation, we can agree and understand that light industries are found also within the CBD. They are found within the town center. So there is less waste that they produce. That is the reason that they are able to be found in city centers. Hence, at the end of the day, we say that they have less impact on environmental degradation. They don't cause a lot of problems to the environment. However, heavy industries, heavy industries they've got the level of waste and impact to the environment is usually high. We can talk about the spillages that we can see. We can talk about spillage. We can talk about the spillage as in terms of acids, as in terms of chemicals and other things. We can talk about pollution which is both land, water pollution, and noise. Noise is quite a very serious problem that we find also in heavy industries. So we cannot also override that. Number seven, light industries, it is usually established near urban centers, which is what we already talked about because they can be vertically expanded or they require vertical expansion. Uh, they can be operated through vertical expansion. So we can find them in urban centers. And also we talked about the characteristic of saying their resources are of high value. Also, hence, they need to be sold to customers of high class who are also found in city centers. It is usually if industries is usually established far from city to be closer to the source of natural resources due to high pollution, and also they can also be reasons to do with the transportation of resources, which is heavy. So raw materials or inputs that are used in heavy industries, they are sometimes very heavy that you find out that industries which are which are involved in heavy industrial production are found outside the center because outside the city centers because of noise pollution and also because of traffic congestion that is normally caused. All those are quite reasons, I mean, quite necessary and relevant reasons that we can give with regards to saying why can we say that if industries are found outside the city centers. And then one other additional point that I want us to just maybe understand is that there is also if industries is additional point that I can say number 80. If industries also they also tend to operate continuously with employees working shifts. Employees uh, normally uh, work on shifts, meaning to say they operate continuously. Employees can come to work. We have got people who start work from early hours of the day, knocking off either midday, others start afternoon, knocking off night, and others come night and knocking off the following morning. So you have industries usually normally work, employees normally work on shifts. So therefore, we are saying they tend to operate continuously, and those ones normally work during office hours. In terms of light industries, uh, they often tend to work during office hours. Light industries, the light industries, they work during office hours. They tend to operate during office hours, which is oftenly like saying we are talking about normal hours of the day of working, let's say from morning, which is 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock. Those are some quite good examples that we can give or times that we can give there. And then they actually require light machinery, light industries. They also require light machinery. And then let's just continue and then go to the next point. Let's look at light industries. Light industries, I was saying it is concerned with manufacturing and transformation of raw materials and semi-finished into consumer goods. That's what we already talked about. And then some consumer products include, we have got examples of food, we have got clothing, we have got hygiene products and books and also footwear as all other examples of products that are produced in light industries. And then they normally also manufacture light articles. They do can be located in the city center or transition zone residential areas because they don't have any pollution and noise that they might cause, and also associated with less traffic congestion because they don't use much of road or transportation requirement, and can be run in can be run in single store or multiple store buildings. They can be vertical expansion that we already mentioned, and then require little or a smaller amount of power supply that we have already mentioned. I'm just listing them aside for clarity purposes for everyone to understand the characteristics if we can try to relate them individually. So we can have examples that we have already given there: jewelry manufacturing, computer manufacturing, we talk about books, we talk about hygiene products. All those are quite good examples. No, we want to look at further distinction and classification of industries. So what I want us to understand is we also have what is called raw material based or raw materials oriented industries. Raw materials based or raw material oriented industries are those industries that are having their location stuck close to, they are stuck or they are close to sources of raw materials. We can give an example of sugar milling close to the sugar plantations. So what is happening there, or what we need to understand, is that they require, uh, they use bulky and expensive raw materials. They use expensive, the expensive, we are talking about expensive in terms of transportation, expensive in terms of transportation of the raw materials, and also they are also bulky. The raw materials are bulky, so it is cost effective for industries to be located closer to the raw materials, such as the sugar plantations. The sugar milling, where the sugar plantations are very close. So now we can talk about iron and steel industries, which are in Vereeniging. For example, we are saying the coal and iron, where we are saying they are very close to the source of coal and also iron, the dolomite and water from the Vaal River. These are examples of raw material based industries. I'm saying the sugar milling close to the sugar plantations, or also we can talk about the iron and steel industries, which are in Vereeniging and are actually close to the source of coal and iron, as well as the dolomite and water, which is taken from the Vaal River. That is an example, or these are reasons for such iron and steel company in Vereeniging as a raw material based industry. And then number two, we have got what is called market oriented or market based industry, situated close to the customers or to the marketplace. The term defines itself. They are situated close to the marketplace or close to the customers, which is important for the customers to access and buy the goods. So now they are readily available to their customers. We can talk about an example of Taylor In simple terms, we can talk about we can also give examples such as vegetables and vegetables. We can also give examples such as maybe say perishable products. So we can talk about vegetables. So we can talk about vegetables, or we can talk about milky. We can talk about milky. We can talk about bread. We can also have even newspapers. They are examples of market-oriented industries. They are very sensitive. They are perishable. They need to be delivered to the customers while they are still fresh. So marketplace is just the definition or the delimitation of the industry in order for customers to easily access the products. So therefore, newspapers need to be sold before the news is stale. So these are quite good examples with regards to that. So these prioritize identifying the needs and desires of consumers. So there is need of understanding the consumer preferences and creating products that satisfy them in terms of the market based industries. And then we can look at number three, the food loss industry. The food loss industries are industries that are located anywhere. They are not the e.g. manufacturing of microchips. Location is not dependent on factors like raw materials or market or anything. So what we need to understand is that the food loss industries uh, are located neither they are not located to any of those. So what is important is that improved technology helps these industries in terms of their survival. So what is happening is that they are not affected by anything. They are not dependent. So we have got an example of the manufacturing of microchips. What happens is that these things are very light when they are finished to be transported to the customers, and also in their manufacturing there is no heavy raw materials that are needed. So in that regard, what happens is that businesses are located anywhere without any limitation of factors. So we can also give an example would be the location of the world's major software company, which we can talk about the Silicon Valley in the United States. So the Silicon Valley in the United States is a typical example that we can give as a food loss industry. But these uh, computer software companies are selling everywhere around the world, irrespective that they are found in the United States. So what I want us to understand is that food loss industries are located anywhere. They are not delimited by any factors, but they are at the same time we are saying they are not dependent on any limiting factors such as market or raw materials. So that is the food loss industry. And then we have got number four, the ubiquitous industries. We are saying industries that are inseparable from the immediate market that they serve and are widely distributed or found everywhere. Example is the telecommunication, which is telecom company. So now what is happening again is that is not located in we are saying this type of industry is not located at any particular space on a landscape. An example is the telecom, the telecom which has lines that cover the entire suburbs. So in other words, we are saying is not located at any particular place on a landscape. So they are called ubiquitous industries. And then we can say number five is the bridge or break of bulk industries. The bridge or break of bulk industries, which is located between the raw materials in the market. They are located between the raw materials in the market, and then the type of industry is also known as the break of bulk, which I'm saying it is bridge or break of bulk industry. And then we are saying again that it takes place where the cargo is transferred from one mode of transport to another. So we have got an example at e.g. at Port Elizabeth, at port at a port like Port Elizabeth, where motor manufacturers such as Ford, General Motors are located. So what happens is that there is a an idea in that they are located between raw materials and the market. So, as I have said, there is a transfer of one mode of transport to another, which can also be used in terms of cost cutting and effectiveness in terms of profit maximization. So now, here, raw materials that are imported and taken directly from processing, then distributed and sold to consumers or to the market. So raw materials are imported and taken directly for processing. That is one key thing that you need to understand. Then, when they are processed, we are saying they are distributed to be sold to consumers when they are processed. So, we have got examples of motor industries that I've mentioned up there as key examples in regard to that. So, these are examples of the industries that we are finding, or that we can say they are found in what is it? The tertiary and secondary sectors of our economy. Thank you very much for your time, and I am sure that you are going to keep connected. Don't worry, we are going to do extensive revision into all other relevant and aspects in regard to preparation towards national end of year exams, as well as the end of term exams, the preparatory ones. So please check here. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like our videos. So therefore we keep connected. And thank you once again.